I'm having a lot of trouble getting my fire going. So it's cold in here. I have been up since 12:30, I think. I think I went to bed like at 7. Well, go to bed. I lay down on the couch and listen to meditation stuff like at 7. And then I think I got woke up another time, but then by 12:30, I couldn't go back to sleep. And then the way they jack with time is like even like, fuck, I don't know, maybe it's been 2 days. I have no idea. But so I got up, and I also have a new grandchild. So he came a month early, and it was so crazy too, because so she went in to get checked yesterday, and then whatever test they were doing, his heart was going down, his heart rate. So she's had a lot of problems before. So they sent her over to the hospital, and they kept monitoring, and then they decided they were going to induce her. And so her cervix hadn't even started. He was a month early, so her cervix wasn't even ready or anything yet. And so they had to put some sort of dilator or something in, and then that took a couple hours, I think. Seems like it was like 3 or 4 hours, because there was a bunch of people asking me what was going on. So I think it was like 3 or 4 hours, and it took to get to a 4. And then that was like right before I laid down on the couch. And so then I assumed he would be born on Valentine's Day. I didn't think, as it was like, oh, it's just a few hours till midnight at this point. And so then when I got up at 12:30, she said that he was born around 11. And I was like, oh my gosh, you went from a 4 to a baby in your hands? A 4 to a baby in your hands in 4 or 5 hours? Whoa. She said it was super intense. And she only took one shot of a pain med. She didn't get an epidural or anything. There wouldn't be any time. And I had told her before, because she has fast labors. Man, that's crazy. I have the longest labors. And so, anyways, that was crazy. But anyways, he's a really cute little tiny thing. Well, he's over 5 pounds. So I was like, man, if he would have gone to term, it would have been like 9 pounds, because she said she didn't get any tears or anything. So I was like, oh, that's nice. Man, so, especially in my family, we have big damn heads that come out, like, tear you up. It's part of the thing. Oh, which is I've got a bunch of things I want to try and cover, man. I'm going to be all over the place probably. My one daughter, who's got, and has started, her awakening started with the spirituality and questioning all of her stuff. And she was always very driven and a lot of rules, I got to be perfect. And so she was like that real type A. It was like how I know that, she got a lot of that from me. I was so much like that when she was growing up. And so, she was very driven, and she was the first child of her dad. And he was a total perfectionist, control freak. So he put a lot of pressure on her. So she's, her whole awakening thing has been her, questioning, why do I do this? Why do I do that? And so she was very science, and her dad is very much, their whole family, they think I'm completely crazy. Ghosts don't exist, like all that stuff. No, they are very science, the academics, like they don't question things. If the book says so, that's it. They cut themselves off from their belief systems or something. Like they don't open themselves up to possibilities of some sort. Like, I don't know for sure how it works. Like, I'm just kind of guessing. But, so, she was like that, kind of all my kids were, like, not spiritual. They put everything about spirituality with religion, and them and their dads are, were anti-religion. And so they couldn't, anything I talk about spiritual, they can't grasp it. They always related it to religion. But so now for her, and to them, science people, religion is this hopeful desire of these pitiful people who have, lack of just understanding and the ability to just be like, it's okay, I'm dust here in a little bit. And God I mean, there is no God, so we can't make mistakes because there's no God. That's why, if you're born in the wrong body, like, you know best. So it's just the whole way of their philosophy is very opposite. And so, with her awakening now and starting to understand about her soul and stuff, and when I tell her, like, go talk to your soul and stuff, so she went to go do a Reiki healing yesterday. It was so funny too, because back there, like in 2015, 2016, when I started going and doing that kind of stuff, and they were saying like I was in a cult and I was crazy. And so yesterday when she went to go do that, I said, remember when you thought I was in a cult when I went to do this? I get some perspective now. But she got a lot of rewarding information that was just really getting her to question things and stuff. Like, the girl knew a bunch of stuff. It was really cool too, because she told her that she came in to break these generational patterns. And this isn't the first time I've heard this, but she heard it yesterday, but I've heard it a few times about this family lineage being cursed, which I imagine, I mean, just as far back as where my brother had gone. Like I said, that one guy, he was the leader in the genocide of, it was the Irish Catholics. It was the whole Protestant Catholic thing when they were killing all them off. And he was the one who killed them all off, and I can't remember what year. And then the other guy that was like right before him or right after him, he worked for a duke and screwed all these people over for money. And their bodies got dug up and sectioned. And so I'm sure there was some curses put on this family. And who knows, I mean, I think we've all had that stuff, like, all the way back. And so she was telling her that she was from way back, and that she came back into this family line to try and fix things from back then. That's what I keep trying to tell people. See, like, just because you leave this, you're still connected. You're connected to the whole story, to the outcome of the story, to the part you play. We're all playing a part for the universe. And so you have connections to all of that stuff. And so anyways, so she came back in, and she was to change this family lineage and to stop the direction or whatever. And she really, I've told her all along, like, she was the one who came in pushing all the time about change, about counseling. She started in counseling when she was a little kid, and she just never stopped. She was constantly telling everybody, you need to heal. She was always pointing out all of these dysfunctions and toxic behaviors in our family and stuff. You have to be open to that. If you're very closed off, then it's very triggering. Because there was definitely times throughout, that I had problems. But once I started doing my healing and stuff, then you really start recognizing the impact that this person is making in the family dynamics, and just the concern and the care, the whole thing. And so I was totally like, yeah, I can totally see that is your role. But it really made her see herself. This is the thing that is the beautiful part of connecting to your soul, because you see, like, so much more about yourself, and you have purpose. There's meaning to your existence. You're doing something, especially when it is connected to what you're doing. Like, and you're doing it. Like, some of the people, if somebody starts telling them something and it doesn't align with them, don't try and make things fit. Like, that's where you got to use your discernment. Does it fit? Does that really line up with what's going on here? That is one of the problems, I think, with tarot people, is these people who go in and watch tarot all the time. They think the tarot is telling them. No, the tarot is supposed to be confirmation. It's supposed to be what you already know. It's not supposed to be the tarot is telling you what to do. It is, but everybody's going to use it for different things. But, it can be used against you very easily if you put too much into it. So, and I saw a tarot reader on TikTok the other day. Now she's changing her content, and so she was pointing out all of the destructive things that she was doing in people's lives as a tarot reader. And then she doesn't want to do that energy anymore, because there was people who were relying and depending and thinking that they would have a certain outcome if they did this stuff. It's like, that's not, you can't just take any old thing and think it's your message. You have to listen and see if it's your message and if it's speaking to you, if it's talking to you in, terms of what's happening in your life and stuff, especially with those general ones and stuff. So, anyways, that's a whole thing. And I thought that was cool that she was calling herself out. And I saw another person call themselves out. And there was a woman, and it went real viral because she was caught on camera dropping her beautiful husky off out in front of like a laundromat or something. And so then she got tracked down and stuff, and so she responded. But there was a guy who had done, probably a lot of people did some shitty videos on her, and so whatever he had said, because he was so outraged and disgusted and stuff, so she ends up responding to just the general public and tells her hardship story, and she was like in a really bad way. She was just going through it. She was like so abused and so used and overwhelmed, just had this new baby. And so she, and there was no food, and the dog wasn't getting what it needed. She didn't know what to do. And she just made a snap decision. And so then the guy who had done this shit video on her, he apologized and said, I didn't realize, I've got to be more mindful that other people are going through things and not just, attack people like that. So, see, that is the humbling. That is noticing that you've done something, and to just call yourself out and be like, oh, yeah, man, why did I do that? That is a beautiful thing, because it helps other people be able, it's like that's holding a lantern on a path, is showing the way. And so, and the same with that tarot lady, to call herself out, because she said a few things, and then she said it's got so much negative energy even attached to it, because there's all these fake tarot readers that start stealing your identity and going and asking people for money and taking these people's money. She says just like so much negative energy is associated with what's going on. And plus, people have to not be dependent on something like that. They have to connect with themselves. They have to go internal to find the true messages. And so, that's part of the whole step down. So there will be some that will pull free and say things like that. So that those people who will hear that are the ones that were supposed to hear that, they were too dependent on it or something. They weren't using it, whatever. And so that will help them to heal. Like, all things are go together so perfectly. And so then, because this wasn't even the stuff I was going to even talk about. I was going to be talking about the train stuff. Like, man, I'm so, I don't know. And the stuff with the UFO things and stuff like that. Like, there's a group of people, like, there's definitely a whole segment of people who seriously didn't think that there was anything and are scared. And then you have this whole group of people who were like, oh, I knew it. I just didn't want to say. I didn't want people to think I was crazy, but I knew it all along. A lot of that. And I did see one video girl where she was like, all star seeds and stuff, y'all know this is not aliens. I'm like, yeah, anybody who understands about aliens are, no, they're not going to come fucking barreling in here shooting at people and battling with the Marines and whatever, the Air Force or whatever the fuck. It's not going to be that. They wouldn't do that. And so, I know it's distraction, is bullshit. Like, there's all this different stuff coming out. So much stuff on Joe, so much stuff on his crimes, that the investigation thing has got so much stuff. I saw another press conference on that. And then there was, I have a whole bunch of things, like the stuff I would say about the Trump. There's this one guy, I gotta say this first, I guess. So I had seen this guy this morning, and this was like this really good example. So let's see if I can try and say it, because I can see it and stuff really clear in my head, but let's see if I can see if I can explain it. So this guy was at this there was just an expo in LA, so it could have been this expo that just happened, some healing expo or whatever, where there would be like psychics and healers and channelers and all those kinds of things. And so the guy who was in the audience was asking the one guy questions, and the guy who was the channeler, I don't know him or anything. He was bald-headed. He was a lighter skinned person, and he kind of reminded me, if you've ever seen that guy who does Chiron, kind of reminded me of him. Kind of super aggressive. Like, I can get it sometimes. Like, it's not like an irritable, but it's a forcefulness. It's like it's like a abruptness for sure in communication. Like, there's no like, oh, let's be careful of your feelings, because that isn't like something that they have understanding about, like hurting our feelings. That's why is that, like, I'll speak back to mine about stuff like that, about feelings and how hard certain things are, and it's so challenging, some of this stuff. And so but this channeler guy, he was kind of like that. Or even Abraham Hicks, she has a kind of a certain attitude too. So both of them have a certain way. And so this guy was kind of like them. And so this guy stands up and starts asking me this question about reality, and about us having this cabal running in the banker. Starts going through all of the scary stuff that is happening. And the guy was real like, stop. Look, this, he cut him off, and this kind of communication will not continue. There will be no more focus on negative, blah, 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 or something like that. And so the guy is, it was kind of like the guy, it was condescending or something. I don't know. When I hear some of these people, it is kind of like this, they're condescending or something. And I don't think, like, if you went and listened to Seth, I don't think she's condescending. I don't know. I mean, I know that they're, but I don't know. Some of these channelers, it's just like they sound super condescending and rude to me. And so that's about how he was coming across to me, to this fella. And this fella could really not understand how we are all living different realities, like we're in the same place. And I've heard other people that they can't wrap their heads around, like we're all living different realities. And it's all based on what you focus on, what you are paying attention to. That is your reality. Like I've said, like they kept making that so clear to me in the summer, because I would start doing something outside, and all of a sudden I would not like be in that space. I would be somewhere else. And they kept showing me, like, your reality is what you're focused on. Your reality is what you're focused on. And when I would come back out of that, then I would always have to be like, where's Stella? Like, it was very strange for them to keep showing me like that and pulling me back and forth between. But see, I linger in there anyways. Like, to me, it's a lot harder to be grounded into this one. And, so it's easier to go over there. So it's easier for them to show me stuff, I guess. I don't know. But so and plus just in my awakening, but it was something already on my mind when I was a little kid, because I was like, kids in Africa are not having the same lives as we are. And, different people are living different lives. Different traumas are happening to different people. Not everybody is happy and content and has everything that they need on this planet. And so I knew that as a kid. But then, as I got older and stuff, then to me, it seems like in 2020, it just really started standing out that, like, oh my gosh, people are living in totally different realities. And then throughout this awakening, that it has become more and more clear how people live in totally different realities, all based on what your information is, where you're getting your information. And so, this guy, he couldn't understand that. And then on top of it, it is where you focus. And like how I had talked about during the awakening, how I had noticed so many people would wake up to something. A lot of people wake up to the tyranny, just somebody telling you what to do, and, about different aspects of our freedom. And so that was a lot that drew into medical tyranny and the government, all of that kind of stuff. Held a certain crowd of people. And then, there's so much. And all things have these veins that connect them. And so, there's a lot to it. There's a lot to be scared about. You can focus on that and, get real scared. It's fucking scary as fuck. And so, you don't want to just sit there and keep focusing on. That's your choice. You're choosing to sit and focus on it, to continue that fear, to continue that panicky feeling. And see, that's where you have to recognize, oh, this isn't good for me. I'm sitting here doing that. I have no control over what's going to happen. And I just sit here and keep replaying it and getting myself all bent out of shape. I'll get all panicky. So see, that's where you start understanding, like, oh, I'm doing this to myself. Okay, so if I don't just sit there, that doesn't mean it's not happening. It just means that I can't sit and focus on it all the time, because I'm going to go insane. I'm going to raise my blood pressure. So I was trying to explain to my mom and stuff when she was watching the news and then her blood pressure's going up. It's like, you have to recognize, you've got to tune into yourself. How are you being affected? If something's not affecting you well, and if something has got you panicky and fearful, if something takes you into that space of feeling helpless, then, and see, we're so programmed. That's the thing. Like, this is very, next level for some people, because people are so programmed. They haven't broken those programs. And so so if him focusing on the scary stuff, so all these different people that were waking up, they just got stuck. They didn't continue their awakening. I mean, it's starting to seep in. People are starting to have things seep in, because the universe it's taking action. There's no getting away from this. There's an energy. It's coming from the sun. It's coming from everything. This energy of movement, of transformation, of evolution. And so, and anybody who holds themselves back, those are the ones who won't. And oh my God, I've heard like I had said that there was going to be some really tragic shit that was going to be going on. And it would be catalyst to other people's healing. It wouldn't just be where certain people couldn't level up. There was going to be other things going on, because there's definitely, we got the people who can't level up for all different reasons. I mean, you got a guy who's domestic violence, and he is, he whatever started focusing, and when he started waking up, started replaying old memories or something, and he didn't want to heal him, and he wanted to hide from him or whatever, but can't. And I feel like I got black all under my eyes. He can't hide from him. So it just keeps coming up, and so he's lashing out. He doesn't know what else to do. And there's so much of that. Oh my gosh, I just saw a video where a guy just saved this family, and everything was by divine timing. He just pulled into his parking place right at the exact moment somebody was trying to escape, and the door was slammed back shut. And so he called the cops, and then he thought, well, he should just go back down to his car and watch and see what's going on. And so he did, and So he was a part of the whole thing and the arrests and stuff, and the guy fighting back, but he did get arrested and stuff. But he had the wife and the 1-year-old and a 3-year-old in there, and they were all beaten. He had been beating up the little kids and everything. And there's gonna be a lot of that. There's been so much of the whole family massacre situation. I think it's called something. I can't remember what it's called, where one family member takes everybody and then themselves. So there's a lot of that going on, and I knew that was coming. I knew, because people can't handle when things start coming up. And if you are not in a place to heal, and that is why the people who are around them, they have to recognize danger. They have to use their instincts and know when they need to take care of themselves. So see, there's lessons in all of these things. My throat, man. And also, I want to also clear something up too. This shit fucking weather. Last night, got still way more to say about that. Last night, it all of a sudden just started hailing and thundering, and then it was more chemicals coming down, and the the wheezing and the stopped up, and all of the stuff, the sneezing, the stuffiness in my eyes, and all of the stuff with the weird weather and the fog and everything. So, because I'm sure some people would think, well, you smoke, that's why. So I just have to give this reference. So if you smoke weed, then that is essentially, you got to think of it as like smoking maybe 1 or 2 cigarettes a day. So it's very, it's not that much of smoking, and then plus the benefits. Like Judy Mikovits is out there just, that's her whole campaign now, is about the benefits of that. And during this whole quarantine, where the doctors who were doing these studies started finding that heals cancer inside the lung. And that is where I started saying, like, I think it is something, a carrier agent that is able to carry the other stuff that is a lighter, smaller particle that is in your lungs. Then that kind of grabs hold of it and moves it out of there, so tumors and junk can't grow in there, because the smaller particles. I think that's part of why they're infiltrating us with all of these smaller particles, and that is why your body is having allergic reactions to the toxins, because there's so many trying to get inside of us. And the scary thing is I'm seeing a lot of footage about the people over in Ohio, but now we've got them like all over. They're very strategically placed. Look at the grid of the country and where these things are placed. And also keep in mind, even if a big truck pulls onto a track, MK Ultra is involved. And then for the guy to not, there's way too much suspicion. Like, it's ridiculous to think that these things are happening organically. They're set up, and it's all happening very strategically. And the release of more chemical, the scary thing is that where people are looking up, in which they're not even getting the notifications of what all truly were on these. And keep in mind what I've said about these things mixing in the atmosphere and the layering of the chemistry project that they have going. And so all of these different ones meeting in certain places, and they had just that show, I think it's Dutch or something, I just had talked about, called The Rain, and it's on Netflix, and it is chemicals that start raining down, and people have to go and hide. The rain will kill you, and starts burning you up or something. And so something with that one chemical, the guy said, it will when water can turn to acid. All of these different streams and stuff have all these dead fish. All these people, even 30 miles away, their pets are dying. This one lady, she was I think she was 20 miles away, from 20 or 30 from that visit, and she said there's no birds in the sky. She said there's 2 crows, that's it. There's no birds. And she said normally there's tons. And then plus there's the sky looks real clear, and then with this bright sun to draw these people out, then there's going to be this rain, and the rain is going to have absorbed those things. And if they're going to rain down on these people, and then getting it into the water system, now it's moved up and it's gotten to the Ohio River. It's going to go into 5 different states' water system, and then go in there, you go in to take a shower, and then acid is coming out and getting on you. So man, it's gonna get, man, that is that, man, when I heard about that, that was like a whole nother level. Like, it's one thing to gas chamber, but then to just start melting people, god damn. And so really, it truly is, you gotta stay in. I mean, every time, even yesterday when I went out, I took Stella out for a little walk. It's like we go for like a 10 or 15-minute walk. And most of the time she just wants to be sniffing, but it starts raining, and these big drops, you feel them getting on you. And it's like, man, this is so crazy, because I'd already had seen last week where a guy was talking about, he's like, I definitely don't be drinking this stuff, but he said even if you're going in and bathing or anything, get in and out as fast as you can, because there's stuff you do not want absorbing into you. And so I was already thinking so much about that, and I had been not doing any soaks or anything. I had been trying to do real quick and not taking all these baths and stuff. And then yesterday when I was out there and the rain was getting on me, I was like, man, this is so crazy. It's like you get this acid rain, and then you don't even have a safe place to go and get it off of you. And, the people who were dealing with it are out there in these hazmat suits. The firemen, I guess, the first responders were told to get rid of their clothes, that they were too toxic. And then there was something about some of them disintegrated. There's some kind of weird whole thing about that. And then how many things are just being like, man, fuck, I just... this is going to be, you can't even say it's like worse than Chernobyl, because it's like so intentional. It's like so set up. It's so all over the place. And it is so, to take it down. I just, man, people were just so fucking arrogant. That's the goddamn thing. It's like, oh my God. If people could just see. But we have to keep learning all these things, because people just stay so disconnected. They can't understand. We have to go through all these different things to get people to understand. It's like, oh, I can't believe I came here for some of this shit. Like, damn, this is intense. I've been bawling too, like where I had said like there was going to be some really sad things. So this morning, and this one woman, she had a blue check mark on her TikTok. I don't know who she is, but she was like, I'm trying to do update. I'm trying to stay, not cry, or just trying to keep my composure, but this is really hard. And give an update on her family member. Her 15-year-old daughter, who had epilepsy, had a fatal seizure yesterday and passed. And keep in mind, remember I said they're going to be fast. They're going to be fast, not drug out, but they're going to be traumatic. And so the trauma, that's the part where that person was more, you could essentially think of like a martyr for the other person's awakening. It is so sad too, is like the people don't realize they're still with you. But, they have to have that part, that emptiness, to heal the stuff. So it has to work the way it works to be effective. But it's heartbreaking, to see these people in so much pain. But so hers had just, and she, oh my God, it was painful to watch her. And then this one, I keep seeing her, and this one breaks my fucking heart, man. She's got barely any followers. I don't know. She may have had 100, maybe now she has 400 or something. Or maybe she always had 400, I'm not sure. But it's somewhere in there. And maybe it has gone up now, because she's done some very emotional videos. But hers, she was, she went out at 8 o'clock in the morning. I may have already told this one, I don't know. She went out at 8 o'clock in the morning, and she had her 5-year-old with her. And they were driving down the road, and a drunk driver 8 in the morning, drunk driver, going over 100, hit her car, split her car in half, broke her car in two pieces, and her son was killed on impact. And she was hurt, but she is alive, but she's like, doesn't want to be. Like, oh my God, the pain this woman is in. Oh my God, it's heart-wrenching. And she has no support. She's divorced. She has like no support. And I keep seeing all these people, like another content creator. She had changed off of the conspiracy, more crazy stuff, and started going in, talking about her story of addiction. And so she had just changed her platform, and she's in a flood zone, and she didn't realize the area she was driving in was flooded, turned a corner and was in, the water was over her doors in her car. So she's at a total loss, and she keeps going, like she's just distraught, and asking people for help, and she's not getting any. But I've seen a lot of these different content creators try and get help. I think the people have to have like huge followings to get like where it's a significant impact on them. But the thing is so many people are in crises. So many people are in crises, and it's like, man, you want to help everybody. You want to do something for everybody, but you can't. You can't save the world. You can't save all these people. And, I knew there was going to be just horrible, tragic situations. Like there's, I keep seeing these live ones of them in Turkey trying to dig the rubble, and they've got like rudimentary tools and stuff. And I guess in the comments, people are coming in and saying rude stuff. And the three guys that are speaking, they are Middle Eastern, and they all have thick accents. And, it's like they don't have it. I mean, coming in and say shit like that. And this is, huge impact. Like these people are super torn up. It's like, man, you got to have compassion and empathy for what's happening, and see, we got to keep having to get closer to home and closer to home and closer to home so that people can really see. And one of the things with Americans is they were just so full of themselves and so arrogant and so like, if it's not happening here, who cares? So, we're going to have some horrible shit. And it's horrible to think like, man, I don't know. But 5 or 6 of them, and then they keep shooting these things down the sky. Then all this stuff being released, like, it's like they've got all these balls up in the air, but then there just keeps being more as now that adding on the whole UFO bullshit thing. And then people just go right in and start talking about it. And that whole Rihanna thing. Oh, yeah, and there's a whole thing. Oh, was that some sort of a prophetic dream or something? There's something about the Doja Cat thing, what she looked like. And if you go back and look, even Lady Gaga, they all do this thing where they look like they don't have skin on. They all look like these weird things. And I know that whole thing about Rihanna, or whatever her name is, giving birth. Like this is this birth to this new thing, because they even put it out there, that humans weren't allowed to be called humans anymore. Now they're going to be called something else. And so to them, see, they're birthing this thing, and they're still doing the rituals. And another one of those big red clouds showed up over Argentina. And so then it started getting the flashing lights, the same thing that happened to Turkey. So now Argentina is expecting a big catastrophe to go down. And I would be curious, like, with those red skies, like how, with the red skies and stuff that were, like, was there any of those red skies over Ohio? Was any of those red clouds or anything? Like, I don't know. But that one is, I think is going to be super bad, because it's going to go into all those other water sources and whatever that chemical. And they're not even telling all the different ones in all these different places. because Houston, man, there's Houston, Missouri, Louisiana, uh, um, Ohio, I think South Carolina or North Carolina, and I think there's another one. And it's the same thing with the things they're shooting down. They just keep being all over the place now. You know, China's going to shoot this one, Canada's shooting this, like it's all over. So it's just more and more chaos, more and more distractions. So that, but man, you gotta be safe. Like, and the storm, man, it's just like, this is intense time. So intense of a time. And so anyways, I'm gonna go back to that guy with the reality thing, because so reality is what you see, what you notice. And so this guy kept being really confused as to, yeah, but we're all that, it impacts all of us. And the channeler was saying, no, it doesn't impact, it only impacts the ones that focus on it. He was saying that there is a billion different choices, a billion different realities all happening at once, and it's the one you're focused on. And so if you're focusing on fear and you're focusing on what's going to happen, and so you can learn from that. That's what I keep trying to say about is that you are focused on that is what you are going to learn. And if your focus changes, it was always going to change. And it isn't like you can have control on that sense, but you have control over what you look at. It changes your existence of your reality if you're always looking at what's wrong or if you're always looking at what's right. It changes your reality. It all is dependent on what you notice and how you feel about it. And however that is so you can learn and experience that. So you're never doing anything wrong. Even though that guy was really upset, you know, he couldn't understand, like, yeah, but this stuff is happening, it impacts everybody. And the guy kept saying, no, it doesn't. It doesn't. It only impacts you if you're paying attention to it. And we even saw that even with the floods and stuff. Like, there's been all these different storms where people have been 2 blocks from each other having very different experiences. And so it is, and it is so trippy. That is one of the things here, even when I, like, every time a storm starts, it's like, you know, is it going to affect me? Is it going to affect the people who aren't awake? Are the trees just going to fall on them? Am I not even going to hear anything? Like, what is going to happen? It is freaky, you know? Like, and I don't understand how you cannot be on edge when you have awareness of what's going on. So to me, yeah, you're going to be on edge, but it is finding that balance. You can't just sit there and just be focused on it, focused on it, focused on it, focused on it, because then you're out of balance. You've got to find some sort of peace or space where you realize that it's out of your control, and however you have to come to terms with that to be able to live and not be just in panic. And so, you know, that is to me a whole part of that come to Jesus moment, to realize, oh, you know, you're eternal, nothing can really hurt you. So that is a big part of awakening, is to understand that aspect of yourself. But and to see that it is by what you are focused on. So like that guy is, you know, focused on all of the scary stuff that's going to happen. And so then, and there's lots of these people, like lots and lots of them. And so see, what he could do is, you know, see like that's real and have awareness of it. Like, to me, you gotta, in this world, you've got to have awareness of all the toxins and chemicals and the disasters. I mean, the other shooting, you know, they did this other shooting. And I'll tell you, like, I don't know, like, what the chances of this is. To me, there's so much of this made up shit, like, it's hard to say, because they just hire people to just mislead us. But I literally just saw a girl who said she barely escaped the Michigan one or something. And but I did see another one who was in the Vegas one, and then the people who were in the Vegas one, they also all got in one. I think it was a couple months later, a few weeks later, a bar, and a whole bunch of them were. To me, that was the setup. That was because they were probably speaking out and saying stuff. They could have even been having a meeting to talk about it. But so that was the only other time I'd heard of people being in 2 shootings. And because, like, I mean, it's like winning the lottery twice. And so she was saying that she was there at the Michigan one, and she was like, it was so traumatic because she was one of the kids in Sandy Hook, and she goes through this whole experience of being crouched down, and it gave her PTSD in her spinal column. And every time she gets stressed, she has it, and this has to stop. We have to do legislature to stop this. And that is where they start pushing that. See, they pull these people out to pull on your heartstrings. So you think like, oh my God, this is dire. We've got to turn over our weapons to save these kids. But that's not the plan. They want you to turn them over so that they can invade you. It's a completely made up lie. Like, I mean, that's not to say those things don't happen. They set those things up to happen, to promote their campaign for whatever agenda they're pushing. They create the disasters. They create, I mean, the towers so that they could create control. They made a whole thing. They threw a whole group of people under the bus to make all these people scared of them. And, I mean, there was literally people like, you were Middle Eastern, you walked in a store, like people would like gather, like every single one had a body bomb under their dress or something. Like people got crazy about that shit. And I mean, we've watched, they get crazy about all of this stuff. Like when I went to the store the other day, a whole bunch all over the place. And as I don't know what they watch. I don't know. I mean, yeah, these people are all just super scared. They're super scared of dying. That's the biggest thing. They're scared of dying. They don't know, that that's an illusion, that it's not even real. And so they do all of this stuff to try and protect themselves from something that's not even real. So but with the guy, with the realities and stuff, one thing I just thought the Chandler could have been explaining things so much more gently or something, but it was more like he just wanted to laugh, and then you have these audience members laughing, and this guy being like a smart ass and smug. It's like that is an energy that is gonna people gotta be thinking about certain things, like, yeah, your message, but think about how you're putting it out there. So anyways, that guy, if he could see that, to not just focus on that, to start like, okay, maybe my days are numbered. So what do I want to do with my days? Who do I want to spend them with? How do I want to focus them? What do I want to do while I'm left here? Those are the kinds of things to get people to, understand about life, to reprioritize, to figure out like what's important. And, it all comes down to that. Like, life has a value. It's a small, instantaneous thing, and how much of life is wasted with people being angry and upset and regretting that they were ever born and stuff like that. And so, all of these tragedies happening bring it to the surface that there is value to life and living, and that we need to have more respect for it, and we need to have more appreciation for it. And so, all of those things are part of the expansion of understanding and giving the value to the existence so it's more productive. I mean, no matter what, all of the different things through all the different ages expand the universe in its universal knowledge, but it still is what was that? Like the negative I don't know. The negative, I don't know. Just wherever that took you. So with that guy, see if he changed his focus, then see that other thing loses its value so much. So this is something that I really had noticed too. Is like even on TikTok or something, where these people be talking about somebody so famous. It's like they're only famous to you. Like, they're not famous to me. I don't know them. They're famous to you. You are giving them that energy. You're giving them that power. You are focused on them. So it's not the whole world, isn't it? It is you. And so, and on the other hand, even with that, is I was thinking, I wonder why people who are really well known give much value to what strangers think of them, because it has no effect on them. It's not like you have to see this person or ever deal with them. So who cares if they don't like you? It's their problem, especially if they want to put energy into somebody they don't know. Like, that shows like an instability in their, sanity to me. But it's just so crazy, because there's so many things that people think everybody knows or something, but don't. It is so 100% what you focus on is what you will know or understand. And that is how we have so many people who are having all these different experiences in this place, you know. And this was a huge argument that one of my granddaughters got into with the grandpa. And he was saying, no, we all live the same reality. And she kept saying, no, we don't. We all live in different realities. And he kept saying, no, we don't. And they got in this whole thing. And because people don't understand, they can't wrap their heads around. And it is so even expansive beyond just realizing that we're all living different realities, is when you start realizing the control you have over your own reality, your own attitude, your own perspective, your own perception. And that when you start changing that, your life changes, your world changes, your reality changes with your attitude. And so, that is also a part of the expansion. And that is where I'm saying there's going to be so much of these people who think they're awake because they're paying attention to a few certain things, but they haven't woken up at all, that they still are just kind of trapped in this kind of just moving into another area of the game, and then got trapped in that part. You got to go through the game. You got to be grabbing the tools and leveling up and moving into the next part. And like I said, there was going to be people who are going to martyr themselves and to different families to push them into that really painful place so that they do find that expansion. So, but there's also a huge amount that just can't go with the energy that's going on, and it's too hard. It'll make them sick. It'll make them sicker, physically sicker, make them mentally, emotionally. A lot of people will just do themselves in. They'll do, other people with them. Then you have also the energy, the dark energy that is being controlled, that has the ability to feed into more, like with the MK Ultra kind of programs and stuff, where they can get these people to go out and do horrible things. And so it's another thing where people don't have control over their minds. But all of those kinds of things are going to go, like when the energy flips, it's going to be abrupt with that kind of thing, I think. And so there will be different things that people would be going. Like, there'll still be people leaving from low vibration, but it'll be more of the people who committed the crimes, that they will be going, that they won't be going on. And so many of them are already gone anyways. But anyways, there'll be more of those kinds. And it won't be, because as soon as they bring in the med beds and stuff, then there's going to stop being all of the people dying. Like, as soon as people realize that you don't have to die, that has been a part of the illusion, a part of them creating this game so that we go through it being scared. And I mean, their whole creation of birthdays, all of that stuff was to age us so that we could, become sick, become old, and die, and then come back. And then that's what this whole little thing has been, like that whole reincarnation, recycle thing that they had going. But that was a part of the thing with death. But death, all of the things that they can do and stuff can be done because of the low vibration, the low frequency that it is in. And so that is like, as we raise the vibration and the frequency, stuff that had been done to us before won't be able to be done like it was, because it won't be in resonance with the place. And so, that is why all these people like that become super uncomfortable and stuff. And some of them are going to go do drugs, some of them are going to go do crime, some of them are going to try and all sorts of stuff, because they're so uncomfortable and they don't understand what is happening. And some are going to be so stuck that they're just going to go through a horrible tragedy. Like, so many people who are going through so many of these tragedies, like, don't even have any idea. It's hard to listen to some of the people who do. Like, when you hear people who are in Ohio talking about it, who have awareness of what's going on. But see, that's where, you just got to come to peace with, like, okay, well, whatever is going to happen is going to happen, and this is what I came here to do. This is the role I came to play. And, and some people are here to play heroes in these different, these horrible disasters. Oh, and I did see in Las Vegas, when they shut down, the people got the last bit of gas. And so supposedly they are trapped. Like, if you drove out your gas or whatever, and I swear that there was another something happened there. And, man, there's a lot of people getting footage of all sorts of crazy things in the sky. And I think part of the stuff, I definitely think, is real other beings that are making themselves known and making their presence known, because that is part of the awakening. It's the ones that, when they're going to start their shows of shooting things down and then keep drawing. That's the bullshit stuff. And supposedly there keeps being ones going over nuclear places and shutting them down too. But they've always done that. And so I don't know if they've been pumping those up or something. So, I don't know. Because the EMP, like, they've shown that in the movie with the EMP thing and all the power going out. And they've shown the acid rain. They've shown, like, so many of these different things. Oh, man. And there's just so many of the things going on at once. It's, like, so mental. But I don't even know if I finished explaining about with that guy. Because it is, even when you are focused on the other reality, that it isn't like you need to stress out, like, you have to do this work, you have to do this, and that will change. I think that is where people start getting themselves in these kind of traps, like, like not understanding about their how it works or something. So they start getting more about, like, they want to control it, they want to do this or that, and there's things that you can't do. It happens naturally. And so you are focused on all of the horrible things going on. Then you're like, okay, well, if I've got to take a break from this. So you pull free and find something else to do, and find something that makes you feel good to do. And then you put more time and energy into doing that. And then pretty soon, you're not feeling so scared and worried about what was going on. And as a matter of fact, maybe you're doing something that you're really good at, and then somebody sees it and they want one, and then, it can go in a complete different direction. And that kind of stuff is happening too. And, that is part of the whole thing. So it's the changing your focus, and it focusing on you takes you on this whole new path to possibly, a new career or something. And so that is why it's important to focus on yourself and not focus on the shit that they give you to focus on, because all they want to do is keep you stressed out. And so it went in, if the guy did that and he started doing that and focusing, it was always going to happen that way. It's not like he can sit there and go, okay, well, now I'm going to make sure I jump onto that timeline. I'm just going to jump onto that one by doing this. No, it will just naturally occur. It is, you don't need to jump or force anything. It is an occurrence that happens as you shift your focus. And so you shift it just naturally. The other part starts dropping away, and it starts becoming, further away. Like there's a lot of this stuff. Like, I don't see it, like, I know it exists. Oh, fuck yeah, I know it exists. I know this horrible shit. It just keeps going and going, and it makes me sick. It's horrible. But there is, there's nothing that we can do except for to me, is talk about it, get people to have awareness of it. But then you can even see on, like, my account, that is, I'm not in control of that even. I'm not in control of being heard. And so, and I can't just say it's censorship, because I know that the universe has control over everything. Everything happens the way it's supposed to happen. And it happens when it's supposed to happen, the way it's supposed to happen. And I can sit here and drive myself crazy. I could go and think, well, if I want to go viral, I got to do this, this, and this. Because I've had people say that to me before. And do this, this, and this. And it's like, I don't need to do any of that stuff. Whatever's going to happen is going to happen. It's going to happen naturally. If I start driving myself crazy, like, I've got to do this, I've got to force this. No, I've got to just direct the energy. I've got to go out and just put the energy towards this project that I'm creating. And then the energy will go. And then plus, for mine, they've been directing me the whole time. They've been telling me, like, they started the whole thing by harassing me until I started speaking out and turning my lights on and stuff. And they were even patient, because that was like a year after I'd already, because I was going to start a year before that, and I got too chicken, did some videos, and was like, oh no, I can't do it. And so then it wouldn't get out of my head. It just kept eating at me and eating at me. And then even when I did it, I had thought, like, oh, I waited so long, and now it's almost over. Everything's going to be cleared up. And now to see, like, oh my gosh, yeah, if I wouldn't have started, like, man, I could have even fucking started a year later or something. Like, for how long this is going, and the role I play is, further ahead. But I know that they wanted all this information out there. They wouldn't have done it the way they did it. And that's the thing, is, like, you can't question things. You can't question things. And for how much, you have to believe in what they show you. When they start telling you and showing you things, and you got to trust them. You gotta, no matter how crazy this stuff sounds, there's so many things where people are like, nah, no. And to me, it's just like, oh my gosh, so many people are so much more about, no, that's impossible. No, that's impossible. It's like, oh my gosh, I don't see things like that at all. I totally trust my soul. I totally trust my communication, my intuition, and stuff like that. But, I've had my hair, a lot of good practice, because I've been talking to him for, my whole life or whatever. So I don't want it to sound like, like you should just be able to do it. You should just be able to, because I don't know. I would think you would have to go in and really practice and trust and develop the communication, like I've said, and develop your own communication with your own higher self, your own beings that are guiding you and stuff. So, anyways, I've been talking an hour. I'm trying to think of if I got all of this stuff. Like, definitely on the reality thing. Like, you don't have to try and force things. You don't have to try and make yourself. I feel like the spiritual community is very, you have to do this, you have to do that, you got to do it this way, you got to do it this. Like, this new spiritual community is very controlled and bossy, but they're also, a lot of them are control, things are there's gonna be some real big changes when things flip the other direction. That's all I can say. It's gonna be a lot of things. They're gonna be very different, and a lot of people's attitudes gonna be very different. And so, but just don't stress yourself out and think like you have to force it and you gotta. No, it is way more of just to remind yourself. Remind yourself, like you do something, don't get mad at yourself and think, oh, now I'm on this bad timeline again. I'm so stupid. Like, don't do that. Instead, you gotta just be like, oh yeah, okay, gotta remember, whatever come up with your own mantras. I'm a queen. Everything works out for me. Everything is going to work out fine. I don't need to stress. I'm invincible. Like, come up with your own stuff to remind yourself of who and what you are so that you don't feel beat down by this world. Don't get distracted by their games. See through their games and all of their shit. I mean, they fucking show us in the goddamn movies what they're doing. Like, it's pretty absurd. It's like we have the directions of the game that they show us on a screen, but so many people, if you're not paying attention and you don't know what's going on, like there's people, like, to me, the signs, they're all around you. And it is a big part of this game to start being aware of the signs, paying attention to the signs. The signs are guiding you. They're showing you. They're making things stand out to you. They're giving you insights into things, but you got to connect to the signs. You got to connect to this other aspect of living than this one that is being directed by keeping you focused on, fearful drama, all these people are like totally freaking out now that aliens. It's like, dude, they were always there. Like, I cannot believe this, that people really think they're monsters and they're devils and stuff. It's like, oh man. So anyways, that there's going to be some abrupt changes in people's understanding of a lot of things. And but don't be hard on yourself on this whole thing where people keep saying about choose the right reality and stuff like that. You're always going to choose the one that you are choosing, the one that you are focused on. You can't go and choose one that you weren't supposed to choose. Everything is going to happen the way it's going to happen. Things are not just accidentally happening. Everything is, like I've said, it's like the fabric of life is a tightly woven quilt. It isn't, it's not just all crazy, not put together in places. Like, it's very intricate. It's very designed. Every person you come in contact with was that exact moment. You were always going to come in contact with them. Nothing of that stuff changes. Your attitude, how you look at things, what you focus on, yeah, you can change that. And it's a practice. It's not something that you just, do automatically. And you got to remember too, when they keep saying about vibration and stuff like that, is that, this world is going to keep pulling you down and make you feel bad. It's just up to you to notice, to recognize, and to be just like, oh, I'm getting pulled back in. I'm feeling down again. I got to pull myself back out. I got to be aware of what is going on in this reality to me. It's sucking me back in and pulling my frequency and vibration down. It's not like, don't be hard on yourself. Like, I didn't do enough healing. I'm not good enough. I didn't hold my crystals right. It is just remember, realign yourself, readjust your thinking, pull yourself back to self, and always be kind to yourself. Always be gentle to yourself, and give yourself a pat on the back every time you remember something. Don't be hard on yourself that you forgot. Remember that all these things are challenges. These are hard. This would be like, if you sat there demeaning a 5-year-old because they can't tie a perfect bow. So be gentle on yourself, and stay safe, man. But it's scary. Like, it was one thing when they're spraying them on us and fogging us in and stuff, but then to start just blasting them out, and then, man, this shit is getting intense. So stay strong and stay safe. Remember, nothing can happen that wasn't going to happen, and anybody who leaves you, they're right there. And if you leave, you can come right back. So don't stress. Everything is going to be fine. And this is just an intense movie we're in right now. So anyways, I'll talk to you later. Bye.